Good evening. My name is Laura Schifrin, and I chair the Townsend Housing Authority. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. on Wednesday, June 20th, 2018. Could I have a roll call, please?
I'm Natalie Call.
Bess Coleman.
Carol Toll.
Laura Schifrin.
Chas Sexton Duranian.
I'd like to announce that the meeting is being recorded this evening, and would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. We'd like to thank all the veterans in the audience as well as those at home for your service to our country. Additions, deletions to the agenda unforeseen before tonight's meeting. I would just like to, oh no, I had the report there. Okay. I don't have any additions or deletions unforeseen before tonight.
Good.
Anyone else? No. Okay.
Did you want to address the gentleman with regards to the trail that he's going to be next week or next meeting?
I didn't get him on.
You don't? Okay.
No, so I don't have to.
Okay.
Okay, you were all emailed the minutes of the June 6th meeting, and that was blind copy to all of you, and I did not receive any information, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of June 6th, 2018, as emailed to you.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion, additions, or deletions to that? Okay. Thank you very much. Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Chairman's report. Report on the vacancy position. I am very pleased to report that Natalie Call is our newest member of the board. She was appointed last night at the Board of Selectmen's meeting. And Natalie, you did swear in, right?
I did.
Okay, very good.
We
Welcome.
witnessed it.
Oh, I wondered when you left that meeting.
Yes,
So
they went right
congratulations.
downstairs.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Can I just, because we didn't really get a chance to last time, we should have, would you just let the rest of the board, I was so impressed with the VA housing that you've already worked on. Can you just share your information with the rest of the board?
Well, the VFW, I'll say VFW as well as the VA, has housing all over the state of Massachusetts, Leeds, Northampton, Chelsea Home. There's many homes in the state of Massachusetts for veterans, as well as the cemetery, state of cemeteries. And they're building, I think, more down Bedford as well. Mainly for the veteran and their family, but the veteran house it's for the veteran. So and it's all done through nonprofit, which I was totally impressed with Soldier On.
Yes.
Because I am a lifetime member with the Townsend VFW. Currently, I'm the senior vice commander of the Townsend VFW, and then I just became the Women's Veterans Liaison for the state of Massachusetts by Keith Jackson, who is also the state commander out of Townsend, Mass.
Right, right.
And Russ Jobe, who's the junior vice commander. So working with the VFW and with me being at the VFW, almost like a liaison, almost like we can get some veteran housing in this town. It's not just for this town, it's for this area. You know, the whole area, and with it being nonprofit, you can expand on that. And it's been very successful. I would like to, I'm going to venture out to those areas and touch base with the veterans out in the areas where they have the housing. Plus, they have women veteran housing as well with family. So it's not just men just, making it to where it's for veterans and women veterans, because there's only 1% women veterans in the state of Massachusetts. So we're doing more for all the veterans, not just the men veterans, all the veterans.
Right.
So I'm proud to be one of those veterans, a retired U.S. Army Reserve combat veteran, disabled vet actually, who now lives in Townsend, who just bought a house with my VA perk. But there's a lot of opportunity here in Townsend to make it successful, and I really would like to, really get on that, really, as far as encouraging it and getting the forces of the veterans to get this moving.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your background is going to be very helpful, I think, to the rest of us who haven't had as much experience with the veterans housing and kind of the ins and outs of how you go about it. What was really interesting to me is, when we were talking to Soldier On, and they all say, well, how many units are you expecting to have or want to have, kind of thing. And we were thinking of 50 because our first elder or affordable housing was 50 units. However, we know that what we have, or even if we add 50, there's still going to be a greater need than 50. So perhaps, and I meant to bring this up last night at the Board of Selectmen, but they don't really let you bring anything up after that's not on the agenda. But they were making appointments for next year, for the coming year, and I didn't see anything for town properties. And that committee used to make recommendations for the use of the town-owned properties to the Board of Selectmen. So that's been lacking, but that's something we're going to have to, as a housing authority, we used to work with the Town Properties Committee and get reports from them, and it seems that there are other parcels that might be able to be used, and we could, maybe we could have more than one project going at the same time, if that is allowable, because why go through all that effort, and it takes 3 years before you even get to build it, so why not duplicate it and show the need for having that much come about.
Well, exactly, because we're in the area of Devon's. I worked at Devon's for many years, and you've got retired veterans, male and female, women, single women as well, who need the housing, need the affordable housing, and they're retirees. And with the way the economy is, this is, why not make it a broader spectrum? Maybe 50, maybe 100. Let's just see what we're able
Right.
to do. Everything is, with the Army, it's one step at a time.
Well, everything is
Military.
one step at a
And
time
it's-
for all of us.
You get so much paperwork that the gentleman that came and spoke,
Yes.
that's their lead right there. I
Yeah.
mean, I would
Well,
pick their
there's also
brains.
to do
Oh,
with things as
It's
well.
a lot
Because there is
to do.
still,
Amazing.
so
Yes.
the whole reason, my reason for wanting to be involved was the veterans housing. But we also, at some point, need to address, we have to do a feasibility study anyway.
Right.
So at some point, we have to address the fact that it takes 2 years to get into the 55-plus affordable housing that we have. I think we have a need there, too.
True.
Yeah, we still don't have we get the time, but we don't know how many are actually on the list for either of the houses. That's something we've not been able to get, but, that will have to come in the feasibility study. I'm assuming that they would have to answer that to whoever was doing the study. That would be part of it. And the other thing is that in 2020, I think I mentioned this before, and I can under my report, in 2020, we will be due to have the town vote the housing production plan again. Now, many years ago, because we were late with the 215 for that plan. At that time, it was the name was changed to Housing Production Plan. Before that, it was our affordable plan for Townsend.
Yep.
So it's just some verbiage that was changed probably at the state, which is why Karen Chapman had changed it at the time. So I spoke with our MRPC in reference to getting funding, which we should know within the next couple of months, if we'll be able to apply for some funding in the fall that we will get in 2019 to do the housing plan.
Correct.
So if it's done in 2000, and that means another survey or another little town hall thing that we had in 2014. So that will be done in 2019, so that by 2020, we can present that to the annual meeting for the Townsend residents. Now, having said that, our plan was written in conjunction with MRPC the last time,
Yep.
as well as Karen Chapman. So we had admin. It wasn't anyone who was on the board who was doing that merging, if you will, of the documents and getting the final document to present to the town. So hopefully, by that time, the leadership of the town will recognize the fact that we do need administrative help to get this off the ground.
If I could just kind of throw out, I also want to say to Natalie that, you know, I welcome you personally because I know that you bring a lot of experience to the board, as with when Carol came on as well. I just want to say to all of you is that each one of us have a vested piece in the affordable housing for the town of Townsend. I couldn't have asked for a better mix of people. We've got people that know the state end of it, the financial end of it. We have people know the housing end of it. We have people know the veterans end of it. We have other people who have, you know, knowledge and
residents end of
expertise.
it.
Right, the knowledge and expertise of all of that. I think that what we have right here is a good start for us to organize and to really turn the Townsend Housing Authority to what it should be, all right? I'm going to operate on what Kathy Arugio had put in regards to the Veteran Housing Project was something that was earmarked 10 years ago. You know, it was something that was looked at. And for us to bring it forward and more forward now, I think is first and foremost, number one. But I agree with you, Carol, there are other things that we need to work on. And part of that is work with the zoning board and the planning board for other available housing and what we can do to expand the affordable housing for the town.
And I understand there's always going to be some sort of a waiting list, but 2 years is a long time to
I
wait.
agree.
And
I
there's
agree.
nothing worse than seeing a resident put their house on the market and say they have to leave Townsend because they can't afford to be here anymore.
Yeah.
They should have a place to go.
Yep, and I think it's our job as elected and appointed officials to think outside the box and see what we can do. I was kind of impressed with the fact that when they presented their, when they had their presentation last meeting that we had, when they brought in the piece of that we were going to be able to get taxes out of that, that kind of like this is like a perfect storm.
Because it doesn't drain the town's resources.
But
Right.
it adds to the town
It adds.
resources, and it's something that we'd be able to actually use that as a model to maybe expand more. All right, so I think that we all are in a prime opportunity to really make some noise here in Townsend. I think
Can you
that's
do based on, and I don't want to go reinventing the wheel here, but can you do, so that's based on they own a piece of that, it's, you know, shareholders, they own a piece of
Yeah.
it. Can you do the same thing with a 55 plus? So that whatever we put up is putting revenue into the town?
we'd have to look into
no
that.
idea.
I'm sure that it's because of
I wonder where I'd
it's
go from
veterans.
that.
If you're looking at just a affordable housing end of it, there's a lot of different laws and
'Cause I think right now
requirements for it.
we have the time. So
Yep.
we can't move forward until we do the feasibility study.
Yep.
We can't move forward with the feasibility study until we come up with the money. There's things we need. We need almost like a job. We need direction from the selectmen. We need written responsibilities. This is what the housing authority is supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
We discussed that already because we can't find the copy of whenever the housing authority started. Right now, it seems like we have time to rebuild the housing authority in the direction it needs to be going at.
Right. The housing authority right now, as I see it, is that we have to. There are certain responsibilities that we need to do. Regardless of whether we get resources from the town, as far as like the admin and all that kind of stuff. My personal opinion is we need to just do it. We need to. We're a board. If we feel that we need to get a budget, then we need to take the responsibilities to say, you know what, we need to get a budget. So let's find out what we need to do to get a budget. You know, we can get direction from our liaison. That's what she offered to do. I'm reaching out to several different state resources to find out. I'm trying to get somebody that is in the town or in a town that has the same model that we do as far as our housing authority to come in and talk with us and help us as far as if we do need to restructure, if you know how we do that, how we're able to do get money or whatever we need to do. I'm all for that, and I agree. I think that's where we should focus on. You know, we need to do it. We just need to do it.
Part of my concern about finding out how the housing authority, you know, the inception of the housing authority and how it was voted in and why we need to know, it's okay to say, let's just move forward, okay? But if you don't understand where you came from,
Yeah.
you know, you can't overstep the fact that, oh, there may be a document that says just what we need to know.
Right.
Okay? So I do have, I was hoping to get that before tonight, but I have not had the time to look for it. But I think there was a town vote. We need to find the town vote and see if that still applies today. If it doesn't apply today, then we say to them, if you want us to move us forward in a different direction, then it's got to be
Yeah.
written in. It's got to be voted in.
You should have to have a job description, so to speak.
So, having said all that, I think we're going to have a great deal in our work session tonight to try to hand out pieces to everyone. I did have next on the agenda the update on Diane Glidden.
I had been called away. I was at, I had to do she had called me before she went on vacation. I called and left a message, and I have not received anything back yet from her. I don't know how long she's going to be on vacation. But what I have is a packet for her that you know, I can give to her, and if she needs assistance with that, I can make time to be able to do that. But I was called away for work, and I had to go to that.
Right. And so she called me the next day after the meeting, and you had gone to Worcester, and she was leaving the next day, and I don't know when she's coming back.
I still, have we received anything from the zoning board?
It's in the mail.
Okay.
Oh, that was in the mail? Okay.
Okay, so we'll look at that
Well,
in a
since
minute.
that's next.
Okay.
The mail is next, and since that's the end of Chaz's report on that, and I don't have anything further but her phone call, and the phone call that I got was a little disconcerting, because what I thought was a great thing the night before at the meeting, all of a sudden she was very stressed out, and the form seemed simple enough, you know, and she showed you her
The letter from the real estate.
marketing
Yep.
thing, and that should have been it. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that now, but what do you have in the mail?
Okay, so first and foremost in the mail was the official notice of appointment for Natalie. Do you want me to read the whole thing?
Sure.
Okay. There's a lot of mail here, Lori. This letter is to confirm that the joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen and the Townsend Housing Authority held on Tuesday, June 19th, 2019, she says 2019, but we know it's 2018. The boards unanimously voted to appoint Natalie Call to the Housing Authority in accordance with the Chapter 31F1, effective June 19th, 2018, until the annual town election in 2019. The Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 41, Section 107, specifies that appointed individuals may not assume their duties and responsibilities until they are sworn in by the town clerk. Additionally, the town clerk will declare the position vacant if an individual has not been sworn in within 2 months of the effective date.
Oh, that's interesting, because I didn't know that. I mean, we always tell people to get sworn in right away, otherwise you can't, you know, you can't fill the seat. So, thank you and welcome again.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, and for the next page, this one's a little bit lengthy.
Can you go to the Diane Glidden one? Is that what that one is?
Yep, that's the
Okay.
only one that's there.
Okay.
Diane Glidden petitioned the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special permit under the Townsend zoning bylaw 145, Section 36, and 145, Section 65, to construct an accessory apartment at 101 Warren Road, Assessors Map 32, Block 4, Lot 3. The petition was filed in the office of the town clerk on April 12, 2018. For this
It's
purpose,
not for the construction, though.
Yeah.
It's a renewal of a permit.
Yeah.
correct? Maybe that's why they didn't sign it.
And it says date of decision, Wednesday, May 23rd. Oh, why don't you finish?
Okay. Where was I?
Well,
For
you
this-
stopped me at the construction, so, okay.
Okay, let's see. For this purpose, a public hearing was scheduled for May 23rd, 2018. Notice of the public hearing was mailed to parties in interest at least 14 days prior to the hearing date. The notice of public hearing was published in the Sentinel and Enterprise on May 2nd, 2018, and May 16th, 2018. The hearing was held as scheduled on May 23, 2018, and subsequently closed that evening. Zoning board members present were Craig Stevens, Robert Rebahotz, David Chenille, Victoria Janicki. Victoria Janicki was appointed to act as a voting member for the purpose of this hearing. Members absent were William Cadigan, Darlene Sedano, and Bill Gianta. I'm sure I slaughtered his last name. My apologies. The applicant, Ms. Diane Glidden, was present. Donna Bashorn was also present. The board considered the application in light of statutory criteria in the bylaw and found as follows. Finding of the facts, Section A, all mandatory referrals were received and read into record. B, a family member of the principal residence or moderate income occupant will reside in the accessory apartment. C, pursuant to zoning bylaw, accessory apartment in a residential district, the board found the following. 1, the proposed floor plan area of the accessory apartment is 34.5% of the floor area of the principal residence in the apartment combined, which is below the 35% maximum allowance for an accessory apartment. The Board of Health regulations do not require the system to be upgraded at this time. Adequate provision has been made for the ingress and egress. 4, the construction and occupancy of the accessory apartment is not detrimental to the neighborhood in which the lot is located. 5, the lot is about 3 acres and exceeds the 1 acre requirement. 6, adequate provisions have been made for off-street parking. 7, there is no other apartment on the lot in which the accessory apartment is located. D, in terms of Zoning Board of Appeals, the board has found the following. A, the lot is adequate in terms of size and proposed use. B, the lot is zoned residential and the accessory apartment is a residential use. C, there is no impact on the traffic flow or safety. D, there is no impact on neighborhood visual character, including views and vistas. E, the method of sewage disposal, source of water, and drainage is adequate. F, utilities and other public services are adequate. G, there is no discernible impact on ground and surface water quality or other environmental and natural resource considerations. Craig Stevens moved that based on the above findings, the proposed use of an accessory apartment will not have adverse effects which would overbalance the beneficial effects on the neighborhood or the town. In view of particular characteristics of the site, Robert Rebahotz seconded the motion, and a roll call was taken as follows. David Chenille was a yes. Craig Stevens, yes. Victoria Janicki, yes. Robert Rebahotz, yes. The motion carried. David Chenille moved to grant a special permit and special conditions of meeting with the local housing authority to construct and occupy an accessory apartment at 23 Shirley Road pursuant to a zoning bylaw 14536 and 14565 with the following conditions. 1, the special permit must be renewed in 5 years, June 2023, according to the bylaw. 2, the applicant agrees to abide by the terms of the housing authority or the local housing agency or partnership program to ensure moderate income occupancy to the apartment, thus created for a period of not less than 5 years. The Townsend Housing Authority or the local housing agency or partnership shall permit deferral of the program if the homeowner wishes to accommodate initially a family member or members. For the purposes of 145 Section 36E, the Townsend zoning bylaw, I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied, family member shall be defined as one of the blood, step, or adopted relative of the homeowner or spouse as follows: mother, father, sister, brother, son, daughter, aunt, uncle, grandmother, grandfather, and/or their spouses. The applicant must further meet the Townsend Housing Authority to discover what the affordable rental rate is. Robert Rebahotz seconded the motion with a roll call vote as follows. Victoria Janicki, yes. Craig Stevens, yes. David Chenille, yes. Robert Rebahotz, yes. The motion carried. This decision does not relieve the petitioner or any person of the necessity of the complying with all other applicable federal, state, or local statutes, ordinances, bylaws, and/or regulations. Any appeals of this decision shall be made pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 17, and a copy shall be filled in the town clerk's office within 20 days after the date of the filing of the decision of the office of the town clerk. Town clerk notification, signature for Kathy. Note to applicant, having received certification from the town clerk, it should be the responsibility of the applicant to have recorded both the notice of decision and the special permit decision at the Southern Middlesex Registry of Deeds and indexed in the grantor index under the name of the owner of record or recorded and noted on the owner's certificate of title. Fees for recording shall be paid by the owner or the applicant. No building permit or certificates of occupancy shall be issued by the building inspector until the notice of attestation by the Register of Deeds is made to the town clerk by filing a copy of this notice with the recording date and document number noted. Received and entered into the Registry of Deeds in the County of Middlesex is just a stamp. There are the signatories. Any appeals of this decision shall be made pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 17, and a copy shall be filed in the town clerk's office within 20 days of the date of the filing of the decision in the office of the town clerk. Town clerk, I certify no appeal has been received within 20 days of the filing of the notification, or that if the appeal has been filed, it has been dismissed or denied. Note to applicant. Having received certification from the town clerk, it shall be the responsibility of the applicant to have recorded both the notice of decision and the decision at the Southern Middlesex Registry of Deeds and indexed in the grantor index under the name of the owner of record or recorded and noted on the owner's certificate of title. Fee for recording shall be paid by the owner or the applicant. No building permits or certificates of occupancy shall be issued by the building inspector until notice of attestation by the Registry of Deeds is made to the town clerk by filing a copy of this notice within the recording date and document number noted. Attestation received and entered into the Registry of Deeds in the County of Middlesex South. Signatory line.
Okay, here's the thing.
There's a couple of issues on it, and that's why in the last meeting that we had, I said I really don't know what the decision of the zoning board was, and that's why I couldn't answer the questions that she was asking me, because I wanted to know exactly what the zoning board was looking for.
Well, to your question, I think that you answered the question because you found the form. First of all, she falls within the 35%.
Correct.
Okay. I have no doubt that she can get someone of the moderate income.
Correct.
Okay. You had the form, the correct form now that's necessary for her to fill out, get the signatures for, get it sent to the state, and it should not be a big deal.
Except for one issue. In here it says that it has to be, if it is deemed an accessible apartment with moderate income, it's a 15-year, according to the state, and I could be wrong, but
Right.
it says 15 years, not 5.
Right, in your form. And that was one of her things. She said that she didn't think that she could commit to 15 years. However, you have to understand that even if she may sell her home, you know, and once she sells her home, that this all becomes void.
Yes.
Because she's no longer the record owner and she's no longer living there.
Correct.
So I didn't have a chance to get that out, those words out to her, so she would know that nobody knows what tomorrow is, you know? And that person that she has, she may only be doing a yearly lease with that person, and it's up to the housing authority to check that within, you know, every 5 years to make sure that she's still in compliance with that moderate income part.
Right.
Okay, so that's not a big thing. My question, I guess, is the way this reads, it doesn't say that it's a renewal of a special permit that she already had. It says to construct an accessory apartment, but it already exists. And it was already, so I'm not quite, but yet I'm not an attorney. I mean, Dave is an attorney. I'm not a planning board member, so I guess I have that question in reference to that. Like, was all the correct verbiage used? Should this be saying renewal of a special permit? And, okay, so when they first built this, they built it for a family member. And the family member, I guess, lived there for 18 years. And then whatever family member it was has passed away. So now the application was for her to use the moderate income portion of the bylaw, the accessory apartment bylaw.
Correct.
And I think that the verbiage should have been more along that line, that a current accessory apartment is now going from familial to moderate income.
Okay.
Because that's the difference. If you have family living there, the square foot applies, but the income part doesn't apply.
Right.
So, I would have a question, I guess, back to zoning. Is this the way you meant it to read? Because, let me say my question again. So we know it was familial. And approved. So only change is to moderate income of the bylaw.
And what and what we as a housing authority need to do is to take her application, her information, and submit it to the Department of Housing and Community Development to deem that a
Moderate income.
moderate income as part of a LIP is the term for it. I can't remember exactly what that means, but a limited income
Right.
property or something like that.
Yeah.
So that they can deem that correctly, so that once they do, in what she submits, she says what the rent is and all of what else they ask for,
Right.
which we can do that. But I agree with you, this is not,
When that happens,
Mm-hmm.
because that brings that question, when that happens and they approve it, does
That's-
that become an affordable unit?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, all that is great, and I think that we understand that. It's just, and I'm, like, again, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems to me that the verbiage in here is not correct.
I agree with you, because when I submit this to the state, they're gonna say, there's one form for new construction, there's another form for existing structures. This is an existing structure that we're asking to get whatever, certified, titled, whatever they call it. But that reads that it's a brand new, so if it's a brand new, we have to put it under a
Right.
new construction form.
And it's not gonna be.
And it's not gonna be.
No. So, is it the wish of the board then to send this back to zoning? And just have that, because the way this decision reads, it's not going to fill the qualifications that go with the application to the state.
Right, we have to send it back because I can't
Right.
approve it.
Would for English, do we have to like send it back and wait for a response, or can we have somebody call them or talk to somebody so that we could get that done?
I can talk to Beth
Can-
and have a discussion with her
I-
about what we discussed.
Then I make a motion that we allow Lori to call Beth at the zoning and see if we can expedite this, because Diane I know that Diane wants to get this, and I'm all for,
Yeah, we don't want to tie people
Let's
up,
get it
so
done.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, and we don't want to stress her out any further or make her
Absolutely.
think that this isn't going
Yep.
to, and she'll just have to understand that, yes, if she should be living there for 15 years, then it will last for 15 years.
Correct.
But if she sells the house, which she has a right to do, I mean, they can't stop her from selling the house.
quite simply, if she sells the house, It makes the
It's void.
documents that were submitted void, and then the new owner, if they choose to do this, then they
Have
have
to
to start
apply.
the process
All
again.
over
Right.
again.
So I think, and I just want to get this done for Diane, because she has gone through, quite a lengthy process already. So can we have a vote for the motion?
Is there a vote for the motion for me to
Yes.
speak to, Beth?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Yeah, aye.
Any opposed? Sign, okay, thank you very much. I will call her tomorrow on that. Anything else in the mail?
That was it. Yep, that's it.
Oh, awesome.
The little catalogs I tossed.
Okay, so the next part opens the agenda to regarding, what are our next steps going to be regarding veterans housing? And Department of Housing update on assistance. Oh, that's going to be from you. That's 3.3 is you. So let's all work on this together. We know that we're waiting to hear back from MRPC as a viable source for the money for the feasibility study. We know that CDAC announced at our November 30th meeting that we were given $10,000 after the opening of Townsend Woods, when Townsend Woods was completed. We've yet to find out, although I know there's people looking for it, where that money is. Chaz, can you chime in here with what you're gonna do next Tuesday, because you're gonna meet with CDAC?
Well, I've requested for a meeting. I wanted, well, the DHCD is where,
DHCD.
that's, yes, the Department of Housing and Community Development. I want to find out specifics on how we would be able to go about, acquiring any state funds, if there's any state funds available, and other issues that we had raised earlier. Since I was there, I would like to really find out who we need to get in contact to be able to search where this $10,000 went, because that $10,000 was seed money for our next project. And with our lack of knowing where the files are and all that kind of stuff, we don't know where it is, and I don't even know where to go to get that.
Well,
So we need to talk with CDAC first to find out if that check was cut to us. That's what I was told. So they said that they sent it. We need to find out, was that check cut? If that check was cut, where, if it was cashed.
Well, I have tried to, since December, I sent several emails to Lionel
Okay.
Romaine, and those all went unanswered.
Who was
And-
Lionel? I'm sorry, who was that?
He was, if you look at our November 30th YouTube meeting, he gave the presentation from
Oh, okay.
CDAC.
All right, I saw that.
And starting last July, August timeframe, we had several partnership avenues, if you will, come to our meetings. And they are all on YouTube. The second one that we saw was the Mass Housing Partnership.
Yep.
And they were ready to have us sign a contract that week. They were not specifically for veterans. They were more for the building end, which we had done. We used them at one point. It could have been with Atwood Acres, which was before my time. And so we were not in a position to sign a contract at that point, and there was so much that we had to do. The same was for the other veterans agency that came to see us. They were also very impressive, and but they were also low-key, kind of like Soldier On. They weren't pressuring us to get into anything right away, except that they did answer the question when we talked about the feasibility study being first, that they do that.
They pay
that
for
they
the
get,
feasibility study?
they, I don't know that they pay for it, but they get involved in it at that point. So,
I think what they were saying is in their total package, feasibility was part of it.
yes. And everything takes time, but each step of the way, with Townsend Woods, we had already had, we being the town, already had an established relationship with Paul Textera. And that was, and soon, during the process of the Townsend Woods being birthed and completed, the agency changed to the new name of RCAP. It was a different name before, and I was told by the assessor's office yesterday that Atwood Acres was owned by the town, that the land was owned by the town until, I think she said, until the time of Townsend Woods, or around the time of Townsend Woods, and then it was deeded over. I was, although I've been on it all these years, to be honest, I was unaware that we no longer own the land. I thought we always owned the land, that we didn't own the buildings, that they were built by HUD, 202 money. They weren't built with our money. And the greatest benefit that we get from the fact that this deal was made was that we have affordable units in town. But we gave up our land to do that. And that's a very valuable asset. So, if we all seem to have, I'm getting the vibes anyway, and the statements have been made, that we were all very impressed with Soldier On, and that they have the experience to help us get the type of housing that was in our dreams for the last how many years. And we may want to discuss a little bit further how we start that partnership, because we started the partnership early on with RCAP because of Paul. And a lot of times when you deal with agencies, it's almost like if you're in real estate or home inspection or a banker or a financial advisor, you don't necessarily go with the company, you're going with the person.
The relationship.
Okay? You have relationships with different people. And if they're good relationships, you tend to stay with them no matter what company they change to, if you're getting good service from them. So I think we may be in a position to, maybe not today, because I think that we should also meet with town properties. We should also find out if there are other pieces of land that we want to explore with Soldier On in town. The only thing that we know about, is that we do have that land, and that land would be approved for housing. Okay, because there's 2 other parcels that have already been taken out of there. We know that it has got good soil. We know that something can happen there. So, but what if we want more?
It's also very decent accessibility to the senior
The
center.
senior center and the library.
library,
Yeah,
so it's a good
absolutely,
spot.
and the police station, and
Right.
I
There's auxiliary
mean,
projects that we can add to that as well to
Right.
enhance.
Yeah.
the-
But
Right,
that's
for
when
the
it
other
comes up
buildings
because
as well.
And I believe it was a Facebook post by Carolyn Smart, but it was that we need to focus on, not such a long waiting list for the people. So if we have more parcels of land that we can explore, we can do more 55 plus and the VA kind of at the same time, because a lot of
Right.
it is, instead of reinventing the wheel, a lot of it is redundant.
Right.
Of course
and,
it
and
is.
I, well, I'd like to address that one particular issue because it comes up a lot. And here's the thing. If it's very difficult right now for us to find funding to be able to build any type of housing that is elderly or low income or whatever. Honestly, state and federal funding right now, it's pretty much zero.
Right.
Okay.
If
And the
we get on
reason
the list and now, is that how we, the sooner we get there, the
Well,
sooner we get it?
it could
How
take
does
us
that work? I don't know
It could take us 3 years to get the veterans housing, and that's really where, like Jay Ash
Yep.
at the state, and Sheila Harrington was saying, that's where we have the biggest opportunity of getting funding now.
We have the biggest opportunity, but we still have a responsibility to make sure that.
Right, if
people
we,
have
and,
places.
and what I'm trying to say is that if we went that route, we could be waiting 10 to 15 years
Yeah.
before we even get,
I kind of both of this. Just do it. Let's do both.
We can't, the thing
There-
is that we
there's no-
can't, there's no funding.
there's no funding. If there's no funding, we can't,
Townsend Woods was
we
the
can't
last
apply. If there's no
HUD 202.
applications, we can't fill out the applications.
Are there other places, and where are other places going to get funded, I guess is my question.
Well, this is part of how our particular housing authority operates as the only, we don't have any budget, we don't have any assets.
Right.
All
So
right,
you always
normally
have to
in
go-
Well,
in
land,
another.
I mean,
Well,
representing
land,
the town.
right, but in another town, here's the housing authority, here is, they do a lot. They'll manage property, they do all of that kind of stuff. They have revenues coming in, they have revenues going out.
They have staff and a
We
budget.
don't, yeah, we don't.
We don't.
I mean, we don't have any of that. So if we were able to, if we as a town were managing both Townsend Wood and Atwood Acres, we probably would be able to have some kind of leverage to be able to build additions or build another building or whatever. But we don't.
Mm-hmm.
What we did, quite simply, is that they established a nonprofit company, Townsend Elderly Residents, all right, and then with that nonprofit, they titled the real property, conveyed it over to the nonprofit organization, and then we got it funded, and then we had it built. So technically, we took the land, we said, this is our money, this is what we're investing into it, and we signed it over to this nonprofit organization who then, used that.
Federal funds to
Right,
build it.
federal funds and state funds and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of sort of how it happened. We don't manage it, we don't have any asset from it, and the only asset we did have was the land, which we signed over to them. So that's kind of sort of how we're stuck. We're stuck with not being able to do that. Now, before the MHP, what is it, the Mass Housing Partnership, yeah, the one that came in
Yeah.
that wanted us to contract with them, they
Right away.
solely work with, like, if we wanted to expand Townsend Woods, or elderly and that kind of stuff. We were told time and time again throughout that presentation that there is no money. All right, 3.5 years ago was when I was writing, just to get a feasibility study, I was writing a title grant to it, and they were like, there's no reason for you to even apply for that grant now because there's not going to be any money the next fiscal cycle and it did. It dried up within 6 months, 8 months from that. So there's no money there for that type of building to expand that. If it was there, we would have been jumping on it 3 years ago. You know what I mean? We'd be heading down that avenue. But because Secretary Ash knew that we were looking to expand our affordable housing, that's when we started talking with Sheila Harrington and said, that's when we found out that there are state and federal funds that are available for veterans housing. That's what moved us forward to where we are today. All right, so I would love to be able to build more senior housing but there's no funding.
No funding.
No funding.
And we can't afford it. I mean, the town doesn't.
Yeah,
Have
and unless
anything.
we had, what was it? Somebody that has a lot of money that gives you money, grantor or whatever. If we had somebody that had a couple $1 million,
Philanthropy.
yes, if they wanted to donate it to the town, we'd be able to do it. But that's kind of sort of, where we're at. And for us to be able to do something, because we want to increase our affordable housing for the town, we don't want a development like the Whalum development here in town. We are trying to keep the impetus that we are working on our housing plan so that we don't get a monstrosity built like that. Because the state can step in and do that.
Which I think we're so far behind in the affordable housing. How long before the state does step in?
They won't do it.
think-
We have plans. I mean, we
Yeah,
filed the
I
plans.
think we
and-
filed a plan and a plan's been approved by the town. We actually have kept us in step with the state.
Yep.
What we have done so far has kept us in good graces with the state. I mean, we're at 4.5.
Yep.
We might have been a 5
4.7.
before, but we lost a couple in the last year. some communities are at 0. They would be in trouble. You know?
Or the communities that didn't have a plan. The state, the state really is not looking at actual, it's what are you planning? And we have been planning. You know,
Right.
we've been planning for the last 10,
Right.
10, 15 years.
And that's why, you know, we've got that for 219 to be approved for 220, so we'll still be planning, and
Yep.
we'll still be showing them that, you know,
Plus,
we're
the
working
state
on
will
it.
see that we have been trying to do other things. You know, we're working with the zoning board, we're working with planning, we're trying to utilize whatever capitals we have here to be able to move forward with our plan. You know, whether or not it's achieved, they're not really looking at that. They're looking at, are you working on it? Are you actively working on it? And we have been. We've been doing what we...
You know, going back to this one here with Diane Glidden, this was actually the first time in this whole time for the town where this type of thing has come up.
Mhm.
In other words, somebody applying to go to the moderate income accessory apartment, of turning it into affordable, that was a familial relationship before. So everybody's learning.
Yep.
Zoning's learning, our staff is learning, you know, and we're learning, and
And
hopefully
this
we
is
grow.
the kind of stuff that's going to help us with the, you know, yes, I agree that there's a huge wait list, but this kind of stuff is going to help us out. You know, that's going to hopefully reduce that list.
Hopefully we can tweak the planning can tweak the affordable housing accessory apartment bylaw for next year's annual meeting, so that might make it a little bit easier for people to decide that that's what they want to do in the homes that they have.
Yep.
So in this discussion, the questions that come up to me because of what we just went through and didn't know about or understand about RCAP was with Soldier On. Again, we all kind of felt really good about them. Would we have to deed our land over to them? Who has control of the management? Well, we know it's them because they're the management company. And who has oversight of them? Like, we're going to have the land again. Where's the money going to come from? Is it going to be federal funds for veterans housing because that is available now and the HUD 202s are not?
Well, that's where they're gonna take care of all of that
They're going to
funding.
take care of it. So when they take care of it, I'm just wondering, do we end up in the same position as we were in before? Although we have a totally different feeling about this because of the tax
Well,
increase
my
base from
my
this.
understanding, and I could be wrong, but I think I had my thinking cap on that night. My understanding was that the way they have it set up is it is ownership. Each person is kind of like a condo kind of thing.
Co-op.
Yep.
And they're
Right.
like a what do you call it? The management company for a condo, so they
Okay.
take care of the outside and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff,
Yep.
the grounds and
People-
all that.
people-
And they pay them a fee
Yes.
for whatever their unit is. But technically, they buy the shares, but that money is actually it's theirs. So I think we do.
So they pay the condo fees and then they also pay taxes on their square foot that they own. I really
Yeah.
like that. I
I
really
do.
did like
I
that.
did too.
Let's take care of
I wonder
the-
if that's something that I should talk to Vicky about, or ask Vicky to come in. I actually have passed their information along to our assessor,
Mhm.
Vicky Tidman.
Does that also
Maybe she can-
affect, like, because they would be paying taxes on it, it doesn't fall under the affordable housing type stuff, so wouldn't that, like, the water and the sewerage and all that kind of stuff, is that also, they're gonna be paying that to the town as well, right?
Well,
Water, yeah.
well,
Water,
they do now.
the RCAP,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes,
So-
because we don't, residents don't.
Yeah.
Okay, so they do.
But in a condo situation, the condo fee would incorporate your sewer and tax and
Yep.
Yes, certainly.
not
Yep.
tax, but sewer, water.
Right, so I'm
Okay.
saying it sounds like the town is gonna get money by us doing this as opposed to much more than what was
Right,
done for
right,
Atwood
exactly,
Acres and all of that
exactly,
kind of stuff.
exactly.
So we are going to, we meaning the town, are going to be benefiting from something like this as opposed to another senior type, you know, which I'm thinking that to me was more of a win-win because we are
Right.
basically getting money back, whereas
I can't
before
come
we
up
were
with a
just
big
giving
negative
money
to it.
away.
I can't
Right.
imagine any negatives that anybody's going to have to the proposition.
And I also want to say that the Soldier On, what also impressed me, only because I'm in the field, is that there is there's such a lack of services for veterans in this particular area, especially when it comes to invisible injuries and the fact that they are taking that into consideration. They have the teleports where they go in and they can do counseling on I mean, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And you know, who knows? We can capitalize that. We should be able to do that. They should be able to be doing that in the senior housing and all that kind of stuff if they need to. I mean, there's so much opportunity that I see that they're willing to extend to us. You know, that we may be able to utilize the same knowledge and information so that when and if we do another project, we can incorporate a lot of this stuff.
So it would seem that, one, if we agree on them, we might want to have a joint meeting between the Board of Selectmen and Soldier On, and us, and Soldier On, and also have, if not the board, the associate assessor there as well,
Okay.
and try to get like everything together that we need. We would also have to identify the piece of land. And then if it is the piece of land that we have been talking about for the last 4 or 5 years, you know, to expand as we have, then there's a process of getting that out of the other parcel or having the parcel that's left. There was always a legal process
Yep.
that the town had to go to, and I think that it's the Board of Selectmen that start that process
Correct.
with the attorney.
Yep.
So,
Does it need to be the entire 7-acre parcel? What do we have for frontage? Maybe you can keep a piece
That's
of
what the
that for-
feasibility will tell us. It'll
Yeah.
tell us the size of our sandbox, and
Yeah.
that's what I've been trying to push for 2.5 years now. I just want I want to know what we can build.
I think when you do the feasibility study on that, it doesn't have to be just that. It can be what other parcels we might have. It'll be for the town to do this building.
Yep.
So we might be able to find another parcel that complements that. We might be able to do 2 things at once if we say, well, we're going to encompass this and we have this other land, but we need that study of all, and that will be the time that we would bring town properties into the
Correct.
feasibility study, and then make those recommendations. But, I mean, this just may be the impetus to get it going here, the 10,000 and,
It's about 35,000 for the feasibility.
yeah,
Did
and
anybody
starting with
here,
Soldier
did they
On.
say anything about the feasibility, that they're going to be helping with the
My
feasibility?
understanding was we were on
It was
our
in
own with
com-
the feasibility
That's
study.
what I-
I
that's
thought
what
that
With
may-
Soldier On?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they said that they did that.
I
No,
thought
that
they
was
didn't.
the first one that
No.
we did.
Um, are- do you know if this is on YouTube yet?
Not yet, no.
I'm
Our last
90%
meeting
sure
is
they
not.
said they didn't, because I was like all excited, ready to go. And
It
then
was
like,
the first one that we had with the 2 gentlemen in here.
Yeah.
That was the one that said that they would do the feasibility study in there. I forget what they were called, Northeast.
Oh, Veterans,
Inc.
Yeah, Veterans
Veterans
Inc.
Inc., yeah. They were the ones that said that they would do, the feasibility would be a part of it. I
was there a
think.
reason was there anything negative about Veterans, what was it, Veterans what?
Inc.
Veterans Inc. Was there anything negative associated with that?
I didn't see anything.
I didn't see anything. We did not see anything negative when we met with them, and I want to say that Soldiers On was more impressive, and they had a little bit more. I mean, I think that ownership share kind of caught us all with, oh, what a great idea that
It's
is.
come to the town
You
and it
know?
brings a better, I think a better
Right.
a better quality feeling
Right.
to- for the veteran.
And money back to the town. I don't recall anything like that with Veterans Inc.
No.
But we should look at all those pamphlets again anyway before we make our final.
Well, my question to you
Recommendation?
is how does that work? Because we have to do an RFP and all of that other kind of stuff, right? How
What's
does
an
that
RFP?
work? Request for
Proposal.
proposal. We have to bid it out. We just can't pick somebody. Let's put it that way. We need to.
Well, I know we had to do that with the architect, I think, but I don't remember.
If we do that with these, the architects are included in both of those. With Veterans Inc. had their own architect, and they have their own architect as well.
Oh, yeah, they do, right.
Yeah. So-
But that didn't happen with the last one. We were out to bid. We interviewed the architects
Right.
and the general contractors.
For Townsend Woods.
For Townsend Woods.
Yep.
So,
I'd like to know what the process is for us to say, to partner with any of these. That's what I'd like to see. What do we need to do? Because I'm naive when it comes to that.
I'm sure it's in the file. Because we had staff that did that. I mean, it was Kathy, at that time it was Kathy who handled everything.
Yep.
I would actually like to go see, and I will do this, and if somebody wants to come with me, that's great. I'd like to see with my own eyes what Soldier On. It's a great presentation, but a great presentation doesn't. I have nothing, no reason
No,
to believe they're not
they said we could
fabulous,
go.
but I'd like to go see it for myself.
Yeah, Lisa and shared the same
We're definitely
thing.
going.
Yeah.
I want to
Road
see,
trip?
for
Yeah,
myself.
well, I'll do a road trip.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
can pick a date and
I think we should all go.
I think we should all
Be
go.
at the
We've got
least-
to
available, so you should probably give us some dates, and Carol too with her schedule.
Well, actually, if you give me dates, I'll work around it. I'm better with that right now.
Yeah, I'm better, but
you work
Wednesdays are
some-
better than for me.
Wednesdays?
All day?
Wednesday I can go all day, like not next Wednesday.
Wednesdays is not good for you? No?
I can see what I
I
can
mean,
do
I can
about
change
trading.
my 3 hours at the senior center.
Well,
on
then I can
Wednesdays.
switch things around and at some point.
Well,
take
what's
a Monday.
another day?
I can take a Monday. I just need a little.
Monday?
Monday.
Give me a couple of
I
weeks
have no
notice. and
problem
I can
taking a
take
day off
As
on
long as-
Monday.
As
So
long as
I
it's
can-
before September.
I can
yeah.
work a schedule like that too. One of the things I was thinking was maybe we would not meet in July, so why don't we road trip in July?
Perfect. I have a question, an open meeting law question. If we're all going on a road trip, how
We'll
do
have
we
to
be?
post it.
Okay,
Okay.
that's
We'll
all
just
we have to
post
do is
it that
post
we're
it?
going, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I guess if anybody else wants to follow, they
Because
can, but.
obviously, we're gonna be talking about the housing stuff, how could you not?
Right.
And
Yep. As long as we post it and say that we're doing it.
And
Okay.
eating, and eating, and eating, and eating.
Yep.
Bakeries. Figure out which
if I'm
one.
on a diet, you're on
So
a
is the
diet.
agenda gonna say drive to?
Reconnaissance.
Just say road trip, with a little picture of a couple of good
Carol,
cocktails.
could you talk
Survey.
to the gentleman or from Soldier On and explain to him that we would like to come down and see a property? What would be the process?
Yeah.
We don't necessarily need him there, but if there's
Right.
like a manager at the property or whatever, we would just kind of like to get an idea of what
say
it
that.
looked like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have a problem with that.
That'd be perfect. Just to see for ourselves.
Hmm.
How does July 16th look?
Sure.
That's the Monday in the middle of the month.
That's my wedding
Stay away
anniversary,
from
but
the
that's
end
fine
of
with
the
me.
month, we're good.
So July 16th for a road trip.
That's a Monday, you said.
And it is a Monday. And we'll just maybe plan for, I don't know, 10 to 3, 10 to 4.
That's fine. So we'll
Depends
meet
on
your
where we
office at
go.
10 o'clock?
Depends on where we go, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
10
We have
o'clock will be the
different
start
ones.
time,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
On that day. And then I'll post that. Okay, so do you think we've started our plan?
Was there any, I haven't had time, Tuesday's my late night, and I haven't had time to watch the YouTube video yet.
It hasn't been
It-
posted
it hasn't
yet.
been posted.
No, no, for the selectmen's meeting.
Okay.
Was there any progress on a land use coordinator?
Well, I was there last night, and they posted it. Our motion at the last meeting was not addressed. Sue had not had a chance to do that with the town administrator. So that was the job description. My statement was to include what was actually being done, not what was written and not followed. So what I was told was that the job was posted, but the job description was not. So they posted a position in the MAA, okay? And they did get two, according to Carolyn, last night's meeting, they got 2 responses. And that posting goes until the end of June.
Okay,
So
so some progress.
there is some progress there with
Good.
that. And hopefully, by the time they get ready to interview, they will incorporate the housing authority into the job description
Right.
before they interview.
Someone who is an experienced land coordinator is going to have a...
Absolutely.
They're going to know what they need to do anyway.
Town Properties was under the land use coordinator, and I'm sure it's not in the description.
Yeah.
But that's who was at our meetings, because I used to be on it. That's who was at our meetings. So in the last 2 or 3 years, a lot of that has gone by the wayside. Town Properties hasn't met.
Is
So-
there anyone who is currently on town properties?
No, because it's a yearly appointment.
Okay.
And I don't think they have appointed for 2 or 3 years, that group.
Is it a volunteer position?
Yeah, yeah. Used to be Howard It used to be Howard Paulson, myself, Kevin Smith,
And there's nobody.
Struthers.
And then there's nobody on that.
well, there's nobody appointed. They have to appoint that every year. It's appointed position.
Right.
And how many people
How many people,
are
yeah.
appointed?
I want to say we had 5 on there. And what you do is that, they used to bring out all the town-owned land, and we used to look at the maps, and that's how we came up with the Habitat House,
Right.
the
Right.
lot for the Habitat House.
Which is another thing that we can look into as well.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
I think the town could use something to feel good about.
Yeah.
Even if it's not a hugely, it's only 1 unit. I think the towns that could use something to feel good about.
Even that took 2 to 3 years, the one house.
God.
Yeah, and you're
Not a
working
patient person.
working in conjunction with Habitat. There's a lot of meetings and a lot of contributions from town businesses
You
and
can't build a duplex in Townsend.
let's see, in the bylaw there's something about it.
Yeah, but it's like,
It might
Sell
be
your
if it was one of the town properties, and it was residential, it might be something that fits into a special permit. If it's affordable housing, why not? There's a lot of things that we can try to get done. So we have our charge on the veterans housing, and then the Department of Housing update on assistance. That was, I thought, you going to see what they were going to do.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that'll be next week.
Yep. I'm just for full disclosure, there's a lot that I'm not really sure of what I can do for as being the state representative. So I'm kind of throwing myself into, can I talk to you? Can I talk to you kind of thing. I'm not talking about any business that we have here. I'm just, what does your town do? How do you do this? How do you do that? And trying to gather some information. And that's really kind of where I'm at right now.
I appreciate the extra time that you put in.
Yeah, to me it's important. It's like the more I talk, the more I understand that the more that we could do, and I think when I get that information, each time I can bring it back to the full board, so then we can make some decisions on where we want to go. But I'm just happy to have a full board right now.
Yeah. So,
Budget.
budget.
Oops.
I'm not sure how we go about establishing a budget, although Sue said that we should start working, on a budget. So maybe who would like to get the form There must be a form. There must be a form.
There must be a form about this law.
Budget form, it's probably just 1 or 2 sheets. And, I mean, but I really think that we need
Where do I
office
find it?
supplies,
Budget form.
the accountant, maybe, or finance.
Yep. If somebody wants to volunteer, but this is what I was thinking a while ago, a couple months ago actually. We have had an account that was established for us for extemporaneous expenses. I'd like to know how that is operated, what is in there. Is probably like $23 and some odd cents in it. But I would like to know where that is, what was that established for, and that is something that we can then incorporate into what our budget is.
Well,
When Michelle Cannon was on the board, she established an account and I was a signer. And I thought there was like $250 in it. Maybe it was $125, but there's $25 in it now. And I never wrote a check or anything off the account. And I think we got 3 cents. I reported at one meeting.
Interest on it.
The interest on
Oh,
it.
boy.
And
But I think that was established
it was for membership
for
or
a
something.
membership or something.
Yeah. It was membership to something, so that we would get the correspondence that came out from that group. So,
I think that's what I'm saying. That stuff all should be, if we can get a handle on that and to know what we need to do to get a budget so that we can, because it's not a lot of money that we spend, but I mean, both Lori and I spent a lot of money on paper and printing and the
Ink,
print cartridges.
time.
Yeah, time, that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, should you be having to do that, to spend your own money on that?
Oh, no.
I-
No,
we
it's not
need it.
supposed- no, this is not supposed to be.
You know,
Right, this is not right.
So, okay, so we don't have a budget, but does that not mean that somehow the town could reimburse, or no?
well, I don't think we're going to get reimbursed. However, they should have been offering, they know we're meeting. So they should have been offering assistance to print our agendas,
Well,
print
at-
our minutes.
At the very least.
At the very least,
very
that's
least.
what should have been done. But nobody seemed to think that was an appropriate thing to do.
Well, how
So,
about
I
suggesting
don't get it.
How about if we
How about
ask
we
them to do
suggest
that?
it?
Okay, we'll just ask them.
Yeah.
I'll-
You know,
Well,
we
that's
got-
why if we can kind of incorporate the budget, the finding out about this account and for printing and all of that kind of stuff, what we can do to reimburse. Because that also falls along the lines of, I've been going to a housing seminar type thing, and it just happened to fall at the same time as my my summer school of addiction studies, so I couldn't go this year. The MHP, they have a housing. It talks about housing authorities, and there's housing authorities that go there from all over the state. And it's a training. They teach you, what we need to do to look on the current land that we have, what we can do with it. The first thing you do is look for the free things, municipal things that you can do for feasibility studies that you don't have to pay for, and then what you can pay for it. But it brings you through the whole process. I went there for the last 2 years previous to this, and I went, I paid for it, and then I submitted the bill to the town, and then I got reimbursed for it. So
for
that-
the conference, for the,
Yep, for the housing authority. So there is something for the housing authority as far as town funding is concerned.
Well, yeah, we
I'm not
should
going to bring
have
a bill from
education.
Staples for
It is.
$15.
No, it should be
Yeah.
education and then memberships
Memberships, because, yep.
and meeting attendance. I mean, if there was some kind of conference, meeting conference,
Yeah.
thing like the Devons thing.
Yeah, Karen
You
and I
know,
went to that
right.
every year.
Right, and Karen, it was reimbursed.
Yep,
you
we
know.
both were reimbursed for it.
So we should have that in our budget. And then, so I have that the board is requesting agendas to be printed and minutes to be printed and provided by the town administrator's office or their designee.
that's perfect.
That's perfect. Yes.
So is that a
Short and
motion and
sweet.
seconded?
Point.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
any other discussion?
No?
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, so moved. So that will be, I'll send that to the town administrator's office and copy Sue. Because today, I couldn't get my printer to work. And that shouldn't be up to me. It really shouldn't, not when, it's in my workday, so. So, education, memberships, meeting and conference, and staff.
Yep.
And really, I don't think that, that's why I think it was incorporated in the land use coordinator, because there are maybe an hour a week, unless you're into.
I was going to ask that. Is there 5 hours a month or something
Yeah,
that we need? I mean,
right.
It's so
and it may not be a
minimal, but-
week. It may be just that week of the meeting, okay? And then there would be some research and
Because there would be
meeting
times,
up
too, as
a-
we move
yeah.
forward.
Well, there was a lot
exactly.
of, there was a lot
Well,
of.
the RFP
The
is one.
RFP, yep. There was GIS too. Those were the maps that, like, when we were looking at the housing, when we were first looking
Karen
at.
did them.
Karen did all the maps for that. Any town-owned property, she would give us maps. We could see what was wildlife, what was
Yeah.
the watershed. I mean, she gave overlays on all of that kind of stuff, and it was all provided by the town because we have all that information on record.
So what I have on here so far is staff, education, memberships, meeting and conferences, RFPs for upcoming projects, and GIS maps.
Yep.
And then we're going to be going into our housing production plan.
Mm-hmm.
Plan due for town vote
Was that coming up in
in
2019?
2020.
2020?
But you have to do it in 2019,
Correct.
okay?
For approval
For
on-
survey.
Yep.
So the survey has to be done then, and we may be able to get this, like I said, from MRPC. So already requested. Because we don't want to be caught 3 to 5 years behind again.
No.
And the thing is, you kind of need staff to put together from the last plan, where are each of those projects? In other words, are they still in our count? Because there was a fall off. There was a fall off because of Copperstone?
Copperstone.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that is,
So
off
it's
Highland?
finished. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had fall off from there because of two that resold but couldn't sell at affordable. So that kind of hurts us, and the plan is that plan is still in the housing production plan because there were units there that had not yet been completed.
Correct.
And they're still in the plan, and I don't know that we would take them out of the plan. And my understanding is that the person who ended up buying it is going to be doing the affordable units in there. So, any other thoughts of what should go in? Because I'll write this memo up in our minutes, but I'll send it along with the need for our assistance here. Okay, and then what we intend would go in our budget needs.
Is there any way to send a sort of an invitation to owner-occupied homes that would fall, like Diane Glidden's property, that would fall under the affordable housing?
Okay,
Well-
I wish I knew it. It's LIP, and it's every time I say it, it's like weird, but it stands for something that is part of the 40B. All right, that it's an auxiliary apartment that falls into if they deem it as affordable, moderate, or low-income housing, you can put it into your inventory.
They have the list of the known legal ones.
Yeah. Low-income
Oh,
property,
and-
that's what it stands for, LIP.
Oh, well, I will look
I knew it
into
meant
getting
something.
that.
You'll look into that?
Yeah, I'll look into that. I'll go to the
Okay.
assessor's office.
It actually was Michelle last year in the planning that took that kind of by the bull by the horns, because it had not been, it's a zoning thing, so it really should have come out of the zoning office, but it hadn't been followed up on.
They have to be owner occupied, correct?
Yeah, those have to be owner occupied, and it's every 5 years for renewal.
Right, and I
And they
think
have
that's
to
where
commit
the
to pay for
verbiage
the
is
property.
kind of mixed up on this, when they said every 5 years, as opposed to the 15.
I will speak to her tomorrow. Try to.
Sorry to jump around.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good start.
I think this is a very good start.
So for the time being, our next meeting that will be posted will be our road trip on July 16th.
That's my 2-year anniversary. My 2-year wedding anniversary. We're going way that weekend anyways. That's good. Yeah.
And then I'd like to, I spoke with Sheila Harrington, who hasn't apologized for not being available, but they are in session until July 31st. So,
She's doing some big things there, good for her.
Yeah.
Well, today they were really busy.
Yes.
Today at State with all those women that were recognized, the unsung heroes, such as the lady over in Pepperell for GWOT.
Yep.
Unsung heroes over there, all these
Aw.
female
What is
DAVs. GWOT, the Global War on Terrorism. She's building a memorial over there in Pepperell near the Rotary. And any veteran can put their
Pepperell does a
brick and
nice job
everything.
with their
So,
Memorial Day stuff.
She's been working on it really hard, so she got recognized today with, and Sheila Harrington was with her. There was
Oh,
a picture
nice.
taken that I received today, so
Oh,
yes.
that's lovely.
She's all over the state, definitely. Doing a lot of good work.
Okay.
So, I would like to know what date in August we could meet to have her come, and then maybe at that meeting, we could have that be joint with the board, with Soldier On, the Board of Selectmen, and the assessor, with Sheila here. And maybe we can really get some discussion going on what is our next step.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's a
If
great
we can kind of
idea.
do closer to the beginning or the middle
The
of the
6th?
month.
The 8th?
Yeah,
Well, August
that'd be
8th
great.
is Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday, I'm sorry,
Oh.
okay.
Eighth
That's
is
okay
not-
with me.
Eighth is not good, ever good for me.
Wednesday?
Not, the 8th of the month is never good for me,
Okay.
Oh.
unfortunately. Any other day before Friday would be fine.
So it's the following Wednesday,
The 16th,
16th.
The 15th.
15th?
15, okay.
Does the 15th work?
Yeah, oh, fine. It's just that one number
Okay.
that, I have something. So
Okay.
15, so I'll put it.
Got a hot date.
Anyway, no.
So, let's meet at, let's,
Let's make it earlier, if
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah.
how early can you make it?
6.
Okay. Why don't we meet at, why don't I call us at 6:15?
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll start at 6:30 with anything on the agenda.
Okay.
And I will try to book that now, and let Sheila know, and let Soldier On know, and see if we can't, we will have already had our visit there, our road trip. So, in the meantime, I'm going to ask about town properties. I'll ask Sue. Meet with town properties for opportunities for housing on town-owned land, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. I feel like that gives us a little bit of a breather. I'm trying to organize all this, and,
Well, that'll also give me some time to do what I need to do, because I want to do
Right
this,
there.
and I want to meet, when I meet with, there's 2 other towns that I'm going to meet with,
okay,
so that'll give me time to.
all right. Do you want to, you want to leave a message with Diane
Yep, I
about our
can.
meeting tonight?
Yep.
And that, and then I'll get with, I will handle Beth right away.
Okay.
And,
This is post this.
Laura, when are you going to type up the minutes? I'd like to kind of look over your shoulder so I can start getting prepared to help you with that.
yeah,
So let's talk this week.
okay, all right. This, okay. All right, any other business come before us? No?
Good.
Okay, so for our last comment, we're still looking for a videographer to help Hartley out. Not that we don't love seeing him, and we do, but
We do.
we know that he has a life that he might want to lead outside of here. Oh, he's shaking his head, yes. So anybody who would like to do that, we're ideally looking for a high school senior, or somebody who has that goal in mind of doing something with videography. It will look good on your resume, going to college or getting a job. And you can just fill out a volunteer form that's on our website. So having said that, I will...
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, and we are adjourned at 8:29 p.m. Thank you very much, everyone.
And this is London.
So what we're left with is 15 people if we accept everybody on the list. When we're shooting for 12 to 15 is the ideal size. One thing I would like the committee to let me know about is, being that we had one teacher pull out, so we have 2 teachers, 2 building administration, and 1 central office. I'm not sure if we wanted to balance that out and bring in 1 other central office to have 2, 2, and 2 at the 3 different levels. We did have Brad Brooks from central office had put his name in for consideration and was not chosen originally, but we can certainly appoint him. He is willing. And then we come down to whether we want 2 school committee members like we had talked about originally, or go to the 3 and all 3 of us serve. So I guess the first question is everybody in agreement that we accept everybody who put their name in?
Yeah.
I mean, if we had 80 people, and we really needed to narrow this down, but it's
Right.
a shame to cut 1 or 2 community members out when it's probably manageable to have 1 or 2 more people.
Okay. And then I need to know about how everybody feels about inviting Brad Brooks to even out the 3 different levels of the administration.
And he put his name in prior to us sending the request for...
He did, but I believe he was also in conversations, and they
Right.
decided on having 2 building administration and 1 central office, so
Right.
he was not chosen.
Right.
So that was, again, before we had asked for 2 from central office, so I don't know how everyone feels about adding 1 more to the list.
So that brings it up to, with Brad and with not eliminating any community members, it's...
16.
Does that include the school committee?
Yes,
That includes 3 school committee or 2?
2.
I think we should have 3 school committee. That'll make it how many, 17 or 18?
That would be 17.
Yeah, perfect.
Do we have, what's the representation we have from the other stakeholder groups?
I guess the way I look at it is that this is an opportunity to really reach out to the community, to have them part of the process, where ultimately the school committee will make that determination.
We have parents and community members, we have 6 that have volunteered their time.
The only thing that I would say is I always would err on the side of making it smaller, and I only say that not based on my own opinion, but when I had contacted the school committee references that were provided by NASDAQ, the one piece of advice that I got universally from the school committee members that were offered as reference, when I asked them, if you had to do it over again, what might you do differently? What's the one piece of advice that would help us in this process? It was to keep it to 12 to 15 maximum. So if we could do that, I'm going to trust the advice of the people that I have contacted because it was said so frequently. But I also understand that people don't want to isolate a few people or alienate a few people from the group if they were sincerely interested. It is a time commitment. It's a huge time commitment.
Yes.
And if somebody is willing to do that, then that's great. But if we could keep it to 2:15, that would be my vote. But I'm one person on a committee of 9, so I will always defer to what the majority says.
I was just checking with Joanna to see how many, to remind me how many we had last time around when we hired Superintendent Landers, and I believe we had 12 on the committee last time. So, we're certainly not doubling, and it was very manageable. I don't know, from your perspective, did you feel like you were crowded in the room with everybody?
With 12?
Yeah, with the 12. Did we seem like a reasonable-sized group?
Yes.
Well, reasonable.
Well, I didn't ask if we were reasonable.
It was a good-sized group.
Size was reasonable.
Good size group.
Yeah, it was.
And besides, your opinion then and your opinion now could be different, so.
No, it's the same.
That's right.
Check with me on July 1st. It was 12, and it didn't seem overwhelming. I know people have interviewed with large groups, and it can be because you lose your ability to be able to make eye contact with people. I thought it was manageable.
Could you make one of the school committee members and Brad like an alternate member? That way you keep all the community folks there.
We can do that in case somebody pulls out or can't
make it,
can't attend once they...
You're keeping the number a little bit smaller, but
The thing of with the alternate, that in theory, if you keep up with it all, it could work just to pop in, but you kind of have to be there from the beginning with reviewing the applications and to be able to make that assessment by the time you get to the end. So, and in that vein, though, one of the advantages to having a larger group is that if someone does find something comes up in their personal life and can't participate, you still have. I could go either way. I don't have a strong opinion on this topic, personally.
Okay. I guess the choices here to make are, one, if we want to keep it down to, 12, then we'd have to take a look at how we're going to choose who's going to be on it. With the request that I've already put out, we had 3 administration, 2 teachers, 1 town official, 1 student, which is 6, 7. 2 school committee members is 9, and then we'd have to probably pull from a hat for the community members, and there's 2 community members and 4 parents.
How will you decide between the school committee members, the 3 or the 2? Will you pull that from a hat also?
Basically, I'd be willing to step down and let Susan and Lisa do that if the committee chooses 2, and that's
So
fine
you
with me.
have representatives from Pepperell and Townsend. Really, regrettably, we don't have anyone from Ashby who stepped forward to do that, but at least you have some town representation as well. If you did pare down the list of parents, what I would suggest is, I believe we only had, was it one person who came forward from Pepperell?
Yes.
Okay, so have a Pepperell representative, and then with the remaining, if they came from Townsend, then do a lottery, pull out of a hat. That's just one person, that's it.
I was going to say,
One
keep in
person.
mind as well that if we just choose everybody and we don't decide to put Brad and we don't decide to have a third school committee member, we're at 15.
What did Art say about, I seem to remember him highly recommending that you had your special ed director on the screening committee, and
He seemed to feel that as long as there's somebody in the room who can speak knowledgeably about special education and understand coming back as an answer, that we were fine with or without the special education director.
I would think he would know the best. I mean, I don't, is there
Oh,
an
absolutely.
assistant? I think it's really important with so much of our budget and it's so much of our, I think that's very important to the special ed.
Okay.
No problem.
We'll pause.